now time to take a quick look at today's business headlines. And for a little help with that, let's bring in Jen and one of our money men, Executive Vice President of the Commonwealth Foundation, Jennifer Stefano, and America's accountant, Professor Dan Geltrude. Good morning.
Morning, Alex.
All right, guys, let's start with the markets. A very volatile day on Wall Street yesterday as the Dow dropped more than 1,000 points. But in one of the market's biggest comebacks, actually finished the day in the green. And it looks like the wild ride is certainly not over, with futures way down this morning as well. Jennifer, what is driving this turbulent market right now?
I think there's a couple things going on. The confidence in President Biden has dropped to an all-time low, and the mood of the nation is dismal. 72% of Americans in a recent poll have said that they feel we're going in the wrong direction. This is causing real concern. Combine that with inflation and the fact that the Feds are going to raise interest rates starting in March, and will probably do it at least three other times this year. I think that people are nervous and they're skittish and they feel things are not going the way they should. And so that is going to impact the market. It will be a bumpy ride through 2022, possibly longer.
Yeah, Dan, well, as Jennifer was just saying, we have a lot of nervous investors out there. What advice can you give them?
Well, there's a lot of nervous investors, and for good reason, Alex. And I have to use a quote here from Gordon Gekko in the movie Wall Street. He said, "The first lesson in business is don't get emotional about stock." Now, that's exactly what's happening here on Wall Street. Investors are very emotional. We start the day where it appears that war may be imminent with Russia and Ukraine and how we're going to react. And then as some things start happening during the day, well, maybe it's not imminent and maybe we're going to use troops and that'll back off Putin. So investors are all over the place with what's going to happen next. So a lot of uncertainty. I would tell investors, calm down. Don't get emotional about stock.
All right, do not get emotional. All right, well, President Biden, he had a meeting yesterday where he actually blamed big business for high inflation, listing things like big tech and big pharma as the issue. He also claimed that if he could pass his Build Back Better agenda, then it would actually help fix the high prices. Dan, do you agree with the president?
Not at all. And here's what's happening here. Obviously, Build Back Better is not the answer. It doesn't have the support. So what do? You try to turn to people's emotions. People don't like big corporations, so make them the enemy and then make yourself the friend. And the vehicle to use to make everybody feel better, Build Back Better, that is not the answer. I completely disagree with the president. This is nothing more than political rhetoric.
Jennifer, do you agree with Dan?
Yes, I do. President Biden's approval numbers just show this. Less than 5% of Americans feel that he's actually doing better than they expected him to, and a plurality believe he's doing far, far worse. Look, the Biden administration is plagued with problems. The worst thing they could do now is pass what they call the Build Back Better bill. I call it the big tax and spend bill. This is the last thing Americans need. But it seems that the president is really harangued by the radical left in his party, and that they are, and not he, driving the agenda. And this is making Americans very skittish, including members of his own party, your classical liberals.
Yeah. All right. Well, inflation, it's everywhere, and farmers are absolutely no exception. Fertilizer and crops, they've almost doubled in price the past year. Farmers are telling consumers to be aware that with less fertilizer, that equals food size and quantity will then be shrinking. Jennifer, what does that exactly mean for consumers?
Yeah, I think consumers have to be aware that a part of this problem was this assault on what's known as glyphosate, or it's the main ingredient in Bayer's Roundup, right? So this is the main agricultural herbicide that people use, and that there has been continued attack on that. And there's a question of whether or not governments are now going to ban this, even though it has been ruled by the Environmental Protection Agency as safe for use. I think this is driving crop prices, and people have to be aware when they jump on whether it's the anti-GMO bandwagon or the anti-herbicide bandwagon, we are driving up food costs and our ability to produce food for an ever-growing world. We have to be really cautious about that and think it through.
All right, let's talk about Peloton. Now, their investors are trying to cycle away from the current CEO, John Foley, as the home workout equipment company's stock has dropped 80% from its high. You know, many hoping a large company may buy Peloton. Obviously, they had the controversy with Mr. Big. Recently, another TV character on the show Billions also died from a heart attack on a Peloton. Dan, do you think Peloton is an attractive acquisition for bigger tech companies right now?
Well, they're certainly not getting good advertising right now based upon people, having heart attacks on their equipment. But look, like any other company, they could be very attractive in the right deal. And what does that mean? Well, it's about price and it's about strategy. So price, if the right purchaser sees Peloton as a good fit in their overall business strategy, they're going to go after that. Now, whether the shareholders of Peloton would be willing to sell at some type of discounted price, maybe that's not the case. But I think a potential suitor could be someone like a Lululemon, perhaps, because Peloton does have a loyal following, about 6 million members. It may be a good strategic fit for them.
Well, guys, there's one more topic I wanted to get into. It was about Krispy Kreme donating donuts. If you donate blood to the Red Cross, we didn't get into that one. But again, thank you so much, Jennifer Stefano and Dan Geltrude, for coming on this morning. Always a pleasure.
Thank you.
Thanks
for having us out.